Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. Coming up in the next hour. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi flags off 6 new Vande Bharat trains in eastern Indian state of Jharkhand. Also dedicates various railway projects to nation worth over 6.6 billion rupees in Tata Nagar. Israel carries out air attacks against Hezbollah targets in Lebanon. Hezbollah warns of large losses if Israel expands conflict in Lebanon. And India's national public service broadcaster Doordarshan completes 65 years of its glorious existence. Established on September 15, 1959, it marked the beginning of India's broadcasting era. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi is on a visit to eastern Indian state of Jharkhand and virtually laid the foundation stone and dedicate to the nation various railway projects worth more than 6.6 billion rupees through video conferencing. PM also laid foundation stone for Madhupur bypass line in Deoghar district and Hazaribagh town coaching depot in Hazaribagh district of Jharkhand. Prime Minister also virtually dedicated to the nation Kurkura Kanarwan doubling, which is part of Bonda Munda Ranchi single line section and part of Rourkela Gomo route via Ranchi, Muri and Chandrapura stations. The project will help in the increased mobility of goods and passenger traffic considerably. Apart from this, 4 road underbridges shall also be dedicated to the nation for enhancing safety to common people. Prime Minister also virtually flagged off 6 Vande Bharat trains. The state-of-the-art Vande Bharat express trains will improve the connectivity on these routes, which are Tata Nagar Patna Bhagalpur, Dumka Howrah, Brahmapur Tata Nagar Gaya Howrah, Deoghar Varanasi and Rourkela Howrah. The introduction of these Vande Bharat express trains will benefit regular travellers, professionals, business and student community. In line with his commitment for housing all, Prime Minister virtually distributed sanction letters to 20,000 Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Grameen beneficiaries from Jharkhand. PM released first installment of assistance to the beneficiaries. Prime Minister also participated in the Griha Pravesh celebrations of 46,000 beneficiaries. Speaking virtually, PM congratulated the people of Jharkhand on getting 6 new Vande Bharat trains, projects worth over 6.6 billion rupees, expansion of connectivity and travel facilities, as well as Pakka House for thousands of people.
6 नई वंदे भारत ट्रेनें 650 करोड़ से ज्यादा की रेलवे परियोजनाएं, कनेक्टिविटी और यात्रा सुविधाओं का विस्तार और इस सबके साथ साथ झारखंड के हजारों लोगों को पीएम आवास योजना के तहत अपना पक्का घर। मैं झारखंड की जनता जनार्दन को इन सभी विकास कार्यों के लिए बधाई देता हूं।
India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi would be on a 2-day visit to the state of Gujarat. On this occasion, he would be presenting a bouquet of development projects to the state. This includes Phase 2 of the Metro Rail project. DD India correspondent Vishal Baristo speaks to the Chief General Manager of Gujarat Metro Rail. Let's listen in.
Here at the Sector 1 metro station of Gandhinagar in Gujarat, this metro station would be dedicated to the people of Gujarat by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and I have with me the Chief General Manager Piyush Singla. Let's talk to him and find out. Mr. Singla, we are being informed that this is 20.8 kilometers long distance. So what are the benefits of this project?
The project is basically phase 2 is getting inaugurated by Honorable PM on 16th. It will be covering 20.8 kilometer section and with the 8 stations. This is extension of Ahmedabad phase 1, and it will be connecting Ahmedabad to Gandhinagar, and it will have an enormous benefit in terms of improvement in ridership, or because the basic purpose of metro is to reduce the vehicular movement on the roads. So it will decongest the roads. It will have an enormous benefit on the environmental side.
Gandhinagar is the capital of Gujarat. A lot of offices are here, educational institutions are here. So in what way it would cater to the long-standing need of Gandhinagar?
The people coming from for Secretariat, Gift City is a basic staff is coming from Ahmedabad, and then it's the educational hub also. We have a lot of universities, GNLU, PDU and other schools also. The students are coming from far off from Ahmedabad, and the people of Gandhinagar are going to Ahmedabad. So this will benefit all the serving class who are working in this area, as well as the people of Gujarat and Ahmedabad and Gandhinagar, so that it will cut down the commute time, it will cut down the cost of commutation.
So there you heard the Chief General Manager. It's all set. The metro station is ready, and the Prime Minister would be dedicating it to the people of Gujarat. It would be a huge help as far as reducing the pollution in the city is concerned. With cameraman Piyush in Gandhinagar, this is Vishal Baristo for DD India.
Vice President of India Jagdeep Dhankar inaugurated Samvidhan Mandir or Constitution Temple at Mumbai's Elphinstone College in the western Indian state of Maharashtra on Sunday. Addressing the event, the Vice President described this as a milestone and said that the Samvidhan Mandir will generate awareness about the Indian Constitution. The Vice President Dhankar is on a 2-day tour of Mumbai and Nagpur in the state of Maharashtra.
It is indeed a milestone achievement. It will surely generate awareness about our Constitution. It exemplifies commitment to Constitution to the highest order. I give a clarion call to all of you. Be vocal about our nationalism. Be extremely vocal about our nationalism. Be vocal about our Constitution. Because that is the only way to ensure in 2047 Bharat becomes a developed nation.
Campaigning is in full swing for the first phase of the assembly elections in Jammu and Kashmir. 24 assembly constituencies will go to polls in this phase on 18th of this month. Top leaders of major political parties are making all-out efforts to woo the voters. The three-phase elections to the 90-member Jammu and Kashmir Assembly will be held on September 18th, September 25th and October 1st. The results will be declared on October 8th. All right, and DD correspondent Shabir Dar joins us live from Srinagar, to tell us the mood of the electorate ahead of the J&K polls. Hi, Shabir. Tell us about the mood there right now, and how is the campaigning going on ahead of the polls?
Well, the mood is subcharged, because elections are happening for the first time after 10 years, and voters are very eager and keen to, make use of their franchise on 18th, when the first phase of elections will happen in 24 assembly constituencies. The political parties are upbeat, and they are putting in a lot of efforts to woo voters and ensure that there is the party which will be the one who will form government at the end of the day. And we have seen that the campaigning has been high voltage campaign this time, because all the star campaigners from different political parties, be it the national parties like BJP and Congress, their top leadership was here in Jammu and Kashmir to canvass for their the local candidates. Yesterday we saw Prime Minister addressing a huge rally in Doda, where he made a high-pitched, message to the voters, so that, he appealed to voters that BJP is the only party which will ensure, peace, progress and development in Jammu and Kashmir. And, Congress President Kharge, Rahul Gandhi was here both in Kashmir and Jammu, and top leadership of the National Conference, PDP, and other regional parties are on ground to woo voters, to see that their message reaches to the last voter, so that they can make good fortunes, in these polls.
Okay, Shabir, you might have had a word with the youth there or the first time voters. What are they saying? How excited are these people to vote, since the elections are happening for the first time after abrogation of Article 370 and after 10 years for that matter, like you've just said. How's the excitement? How's the enthusiasm amongst the youth and the first time voters? Shabir.
Yeah. These elections are important because first time after 2019, these elections happen and a lot has happened in Kashmir. It is the government saying this is a Naya Kashmir, and yes, a lot has happened in Jammu and Kashmir in past 10 years.
What is youth saying, Shabir? What is youth saying?
Youth are very much involved in these elections. They are seeing a hope in a democratic process. As we have recently seen in the recently held parliament elections, we have seen huge youth enthusiastically participating in such elections. And this time around also, if we know the poll campaigns, the rallies that are being conducted by different political parties, we are seeing the huge crowd constitutes of the youth. They are pinning all hopes in democratic process. We have seen Kashmir. There was a time when people used to shy away from being participating in the polls.
Coming to that.
Now that has changed. Youth are
all right. Shabir,
involved in this.
Shabir,
Yes.
Tell us, how has the political scenario changed in the region over the years? There was a time, like you were also mentioning a while back, when people used to be scared coming out of their houses. Forget about polling and curfew, getting imposed every other day. But now campaigning is happening. People and youth especially are excited ahead of the polls. They are fearless now, from bullet to ballot. Just tell us the transition.
Yeah, there's a huge transition from bullet to ballot in Kashmir because we have seen elections was a taboo in Kashmir. Voting was a taboo in Kashmir once upon a time. But that has changed in past 10 years. And it was seen in the recently held parliamentary elections when we saw record number of polling, record number of voting happening in places where there used to be only 5% and 0% voting in the past. So that shows the scenario has changed. Both the political and security scenario in Jammu and Kashmir has changed. We are seeing this time a lot of youngsters are participating as candidates in these polls. So the candidates from recognized political parties are there. But besides that, a lot of youngsters who are fighting as independent because they are seeing they are seeing that participating in the electoral process and participating in democratic process will not bring them any harm to them because that has changed.
All right.
We have seen that in 10 years, the efforts by the...
Oh yeah, definitely. The scenario has changed. People have become fearless now. They are holding rallies, campaigning is happening ahead of the polls, and they are very excited, the youth and the first time voters. Thank you so much for your analysis, Shabir. We'll keep taking you since this is developing.
Thank you.
And the city of joy, Kolkata, has witnessed several rallies by doctors over the past month protesting the rape and murder of a junior doctor at RG Kaur Medical College and Hospital. On Sunday, the city will once again host a doctors' rally, and the rally will start at Central Park Metro Station and will culminate at Swasthya Bhavan, where junior doctors have been holding a sit-in protest for the past 6 days with their demands. All right, and DD India correspondent Anibrata Bhattacharya is joining us live from Kolkata, in fact from Central Park Metro Station. Anibrata, junior doctors, they plan to hold a sit-in protest. Tell us, has it started? What is the latest that you are getting for us? They have a 5-point demand as well. What is the 5-point demand? Why are they holding the protest?
Yeah, exactly, Siddhartha. As you know, as you told, that the doctors' rally from Central Park, Kolkata metro station, that has just left the venue and it is proceeding towards the Shastha Bhavan, where the junior doctors are holding sit-in protest demonstration for the last 6 days, braving inclement weather. for the last 3 days, as you know. They have 5-point demands, as you know. They are demanding for the resignation of the termination of job of the health secretary, several other demands as such. But as you know, only the last day, yesterday, CBI arrested the former principal of Arvind Medical College, Sandeep Ghosh, and OC of Talas police station, and Obhijit Mondol, and that certainly triggered much expectation of the people from CBI. They want that CBI do more. CBI does much more arrests of who are involved in the rape and murder case in the junior doctor in Arjikor. So, as you know, the doctors are only yesterday we found that the Chief Minister came at Shastro Bhavan. They addressed the doctors and asked them and appealed them to join in their job and to resume their job. And the Chief Minister also invited them for discussion. Yet, when they went to the Chief Minister's house yesterday night, the junior doctors demanded the live telecast of the discussion, but CM declined this thing, and they waited there for more than 3.5 hours. Thereafter, when they agreed to talk without a live discussion, the CM declined because she told the time is over. That is the thing, because and that triggered much more protest, because these doctors' protests are having all-round support. It's not only remaining confined in Kolkata, but as you know that it is this protest is coming from all over India, even from abroad. So certainly these protests all around have certainly given much dimension to this thing, because earlier we found there was corruption in education sector, there was corruption in the public distribution system. Now when this corruption and particularly the gruesome murder of a practicing doctor, junior doctor at Arjikor Hospital, it certainly triggered all around protest. And now West Bengal government is at back foot. They are trying to nullify, pacify the doctors in one way or other, but doctors still remain steadfast to their 5-point demand, and the demands consist of the, the resignation of health secretary and several other people who are involved in the health sectors.
All right, Aliya Mustafina, thank you so much for your analysis. We'll keep asking you, the update regarding this particular case since this is developing. And in a sudden announcement, Arvind Kejriwal has said that he will resign as Delhi's chief minister. Kejriwal added that the resignation will happen 2 days later. The Aam Aadmi Party Supremo also called for early polls in Delhi in November. And elections in Delhi are currently scheduled for February next year. India's Supreme Court had granted him bail in the Delhi excise policy case on Friday. All right, still to come on DD India News Hour. Russia and Ukraine exchange war prisoners. As campaign for presidential race getting shriller every passing day, we tell you what's happening ahead of the US elections. And the first ever commercial space walk concludes as Polaris Dawn safely returns to Earth.
It is our own unsustainable human activity that is the biggest threat for our planet. So what can we as individuals do to save and preserve our ecosystems?
We provide a bridge between nature and our urban environment.
When we started rescuing an animal on field, or you're bringing the animal into the rescue center where it undergoes rehabilitation and then is reintroduced back to the wild.
It's very important that they understand the journey they're about to take on, which is tree planting. So this particular pencil, for it has seeds inside, and they're using it to study, but at the end of the day it's going to translate into a tree. A tree was cut and a tree is going to be planted.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. And shifting focus, Israel has struck various Hezbollah targets in Lebanon, including weapons storage facilities and a military structure. Hostilities across the Lebanese-Israeli border have forced tens of thousands of people to leave both sides of the frontier. The risk of escalation has loomed large. Concerns over a wider conflict in the West Asia have prompted international airlines to suspend flights to the region or to avoid affected airspace. The strikes comes amid rising concerns of a wider conflict in West Asia. Meanwhile, Hezbollah's deputy leader has warned Israel that a full-scale war on Lebanon could cause large losses on both sides and displace hundreds of thousands of more Israelis in the country's north. Hezbollah's comments came as Israel's Channel 13 reported that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was on the verge of launching a broad and strong operation on country's northern border with Lebanon. Hezbollah and the Israeli military have been trading near daily fire across the Israel-Lebanon border since Israel launched its deadly war on Gaza in October. The Lebanese armed group said its attacks on Israel are in solidarity with the Palestinians in Gaza and would end as soon as Israeli troops end their conflict and withdraw from the coastal enclave. Yemen's Houthis claimed responsibility for a ballistic missile attack that reached central Israel for the first time on Sunday. Sunday's strike appears to be the first time the Houthis have penetrated deep into Israeli airspace with the missile. The Israeli military also said that 40 projectiles were fired towards Israel from Lebanon on Sunday and were either intercepted or landed in open areas. Thousands of people continue to protest in Israel, demanding that the government strikes a deal with Hamas to ensure the release of hostages held in Gaza. In Tel Aviv, clashes erupted between police officers and protesters during a highway blockade. Mass street protests resumed in Israel after the IDF discovered bodies of 6 hostages in a Gaza tunnel. The Israeli forces said that captives were shot at close range by Hamas. Around 100 hostages remain in Gaza, at least a third of whom are believed to be dead. And moving on, as the conflict between Russia and Ukraine crosses the 900-day mark, the Russian Defense Ministry announced that both the countries have exchanged total 206 prisoners of war on Saturday, 103 from either side. All the exchanged Russian soldiers are now in Belarus. The United Arab Emirates facilitated the exchange through humanitarian mediation. Ukrainian authorities said on Saturday that this was the second exchange in 2 days. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky announced that 103 Ukrainian military personnel, including 21 officers, had been released. Meanwhile, Russian officials have threatened the West and Ukraine with an uncontrolled escalation of war and destruction of Kiev as Western leaders debate allowing Ukraine to use their weapons for strikes deep into the Russian territory. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said late on Friday that his plan to achieve victory depended on Washington's decision, a clear reference to the authorization for long-range strikes that Kiev has long sought from NATO allies. Britain Foreign Minister David Lammy has said that spending had been increased on military aid for Ukraine and 650 missiles will be provided to help protect the country from Russian drones and bombing. Lammy also committed to tackling migrant smuggling gangs after 8 people died overnight while trying to cross the channel from France to England.
It is important that we've increased spending on Ukraine, $3 billion a year for military equipment for as long as it lasts. They wanted more missiles. We've given them Brimstone missiles, 650. We announced more munitions, more artillery guns that they need. And of course, we're discussing with allies a range of systems to ensure that we assist Ukraine in getting through the winter and repelling some of the worst action and aggression that we've seen from Putin in recent times.
Pressure is mounting on Ukrainians in military aid to join National Army to replenish dwindling number of combatants against Russia. Ending social benefits is one of the measures that are being suggested against those who are unwilling to join troops. A suggestion in this regard has come from Polish Foreign Minister Radoslaw Sikorski after a meeting with his Ukrainian counterpart Andriy Sabiha in Kiev on Saturday. Following the meeting, Poland's foreign minister said that European governments should halt welfare benefits to Ukrainian men of military age who are leaving their countries. He said this will force them to return home and fight the Russians and also save government money.
Payments for people who are eligible for the Ukrainian draft. There should be no financial incentives for avoiding the draft in Ukraine. It's not a human right to be paid to avoid the draft to defend your country. We in Poland don't do it. There are no social security payments. And if we did, we would have a significant political problem in our country.
More than 4.1 million Ukrainians had temporary protection status in European Union countries as of July this year, and about 22% of them were adult men, according to data from the EU Statistics Office, Eurostat. And as clashes continue from both sides in the Ukraine-Russia conflict, the Russian Defense Ministry said in a daily briefing it had liberated the village of Zelan Persh near the key logistics hub of Pokrovsk. Pokrovsk lies on the intersection of a key road that supplies Ukrainian troops and towns across the eastern front and has long been a target of Moscow's army. Over half of the city's 60,000 residents have fled since the conflict began in February 2022, with evacuations ramping up in recent weeks as Moscow's army closes in. While Ukraine had hoped its major cross-border incursion into the Kursk region last month would slow down Russia's advances in the east, Russia, however, has claimed this week to have taken back some of its territory in the western Kursk region in a counter-offensive. As clashes continue from both sides in the Russia-Ukraine conflict, the Russian air defense destroyed 29 drones that Ukraine launched overnight, targeting 7 Russian regions on Sunday. 15 of the drones were downed over the Bryansk region that borders Ukraine, while the rest were destroyed over the Smolensk, Orlov, Belgorod, Kaluga and Rostov regions. On the other end, the Ukrainian Defense Forces reported that they had downed 10 out of 14 drones that Russia launched overnight, targeting its territory on Sunday. Further, it said that Russia launched 2 Iskander-M ballistic missiles and 1 Kh-59 guiding air missile targeting the southern region of Odessa. As the campaigning for presidential race getting shriller every passing day, U.S. President Joe Biden and Democratic presidential nominee Kamala Harris cautioned American voters against hate-mongering by former U.S. President Donald Trump. Both Democratic leaders were addressing a gathering at the 2024 Phoenix Awards dinner in Washington, D.C. on Saturday. Hosted by the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation, the event brought together political, cultural and activists to honor black excellence. Biden warned of rising threats to harmony and democracy, likening them to ghosts in new garments aiming to strip away freedoms.
Let's be clear. They're old ghosts in new garments trying to seize your power, and extremists coming for your freedoms. Make it harder to vote and have your vote counted. Closing doors of opportunity. Attacking affirmative action and the values of diversity, equity, and inclusion. He says immigrants, black and brown immigrants, poison the blood of our country. Right now, his running mate is attacking Haitian Americans in Ohio. It's wrong. It's got to stop. Any president should reject hate in America and incite, not incite it.
Harris, a former member of the Congressional Black Caucus, emphasized on respecting civil rights of common citizens.
While we moved and fight to move our nation forward toward a brighter future, Donald Trump and his extremist allies intend to take our nation backward. They will give tax breaks to billionaires and big corporations, cut Social Security and Medicare, and end the Affordable Care Act, which the CBC fought so hard to pass. But we are not going back.
The evening also celebrated notable figures, including White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre and hip-hop icons LL Cool J, among others, for their contributions to the black community. In a final push to secure Wisconsin, Democratic Vice President nominee Tim Walz urged supporters on Saturday to give their all as the race tightens. Speaking in Superior, Wisconsin, Walz, running alongside Kamala Harris in the heated battle against Donald Trump, called the swing state a battlefield. He encouraged the crowd to have hard conversations with friends and neighbors to rally support for Harris. Walz also called on men to listen to the smart women in their lives, referencing pop icon Taylor Swift, a fellow cat owner whose endorsement of Harris gained over 9 million likes on Instagram. With Wisconsin critical to their campaign, Walz emphasized the importance of every vote in the final stretch.
Kamala Harris did her job Tuesday night. We need to do our job for the next 52 days. Now, I'll go to my grave not understanding why, but I know it's a fact. This is going to be a margin of error race, and it's going to be won in a handful of states. One of them is the state of Wisconsin. So let me, as these guys help me with, put on that coach whistle and get that hat back on. This thing's going to be a battle for the next 52 days.
Pope Francis's recent comments have sparked debate among US Catholics as they prepare to vote in the upcoming election. During a flight back to Rome, the Pope urged Catholics to choose the lesser evil, criticizing both former President Donald Trump's plan to deport millions of immigrants and Vice President Kamala Harris's stance on abortion rights. His remarks have stirred emotions at New York's St. Patrick Cathedral, where some voters voiced surprise and uncertainty. With 52 million Catholics in the US, their influence could be crucial in the upcoming election.
I can only vote for the person who has the most qualities or characteristics of principle that I can rely on, in which case the lesser of two evils is kind of a compromise.
Lesser of two evils, whichever one you vote for, you are going to, in your mind, no matter if you think they're great, it's still probably going to be the lesser of two terrible choices.
I'm not a person who likes the idea of choosing any evils, so I personally am probably not going to vote this time because I am tired of aligning to what I feel is evil.
We have to educate ourselves about these candidates. We have to get to know more about them before voting. It's not about what the Pope says.
And still to come on DD India News Hour. Philippines vessel from contested South China Sea shoal returns to port. China prepares for heavy rain as Typhoon Bebenka nears Shanghai. And Harvest Festival Onam being celebrated today with traditional fervor across India.
Double Paralympic gold medalist Avni Lekhra is with us. Tell us, how big is Paris gold medal for you?
It's a really big thing for me to be able to go there and when another gold medal defending my title. This was a little tougher and challenging.
What has changed in Avni in the last 3-4 years?
Pressure was much more this time, I think, from my side, because always when you know that you can do it, you have your own expectations, the expectations of the country.
Which is closer to your heart, Tokyo or Paris?
I mean, Tokyo was my first, so a little 0.1%.
You're watching DD India News On. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj, and a quick recap of the headlines. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi flags off 6 new Vande Bharat trains in eastern Indian state of Jharkhand. Also dedicates various railway projects to nation worth over 6.6 billion rupees in Tatanagar. Israel carries out air attacks against Hezbollah targets in Lebanon. Hezbollah warns of large losses if Israel expands conflict in Lebanon. And India's national public service broadcaster Doordarshan completes 65 years of its glorious existence. Established on September 15, 1959, it marked the beginning of India's broadcasting era. Shifting focus to Asia Pacific, Philippines is returning to port a Coast Guard vessel anchored in the contested Sabina Shoal in the South China Sea after a 5-month deployment as its mission is accomplished. The Teresa Magbanua had been deployed to monitor suspected Chinese reclamation activities, escalating tensions in the disputed waters. Executive Secretary announced that the vessel's mission has been successfully completed despite facing overwhelming odds. The ship is returning to port for repairs and to address the crew's medical needs. This move comes after a high-level talks between Manila and Beijing, where China reiterated its demand for the vessel's withdrawal. While the Philippines reaffirmed its stance on Sabina Shoal, there had been no immediate comment from the Chinese embassy in Manila. And Read India correspondent Jessica Teneja is joining us live from a newsroom for more. Jessica, even though the Philippines Coast Guard vessel has returned to port in Palawan, challenges still remains as to how to address China's threatening tactics.
That's correct. And if you've seen in the recent past as well, starting in the April and much earlier than that as well, there have been frequent clashes between the Chinese Coast Guard and the Philippines Coast Guard. Let's not forget that it was back in April when the contest was in the St. Thomas Shoals, Second Thomas Shoals, pardon me, which was seen as a flashpoint, and now we have a new flashpoint, which is the Sabina Shoal, and that perhaps has now led to greater discrepancies in terms of how the Chinese would respond, especially when the Philippines Coast Guard vessel, as you pointed out, Teresa Magbanua, has been returned back to the island. Now remember, this contest has been going on for a very long time, where China has resorted to various grey zone warfare tactics, not to forget the collision between the Chinese Coast Guard vessel and the Philippine vessel, which has been docked in the Sabina Shoal atoll, and that is where the contest now continues to grow. But at the same time, you recall the resupply missions that were halted by the Chinese, the water cannon fights that we saw not just in Second Thomas Shoals but also in Sabina Shoals recently, that is the Spratly Islands, which China claims as its own in the South China Sea. But the challenges still persist, because even after the vessel has now returned to Manila. And now the questions remain as to how to deal with the Chinese tactics, because this is the second time that China has resorted to such means when it comes to controlling territory there, despite a ruling in 2016 by the United Nations Convention and the United Nations Convention of the Law of the Sea, which clearly sided with the Philippines. It was an arbitration which mentioned categorically that those exclusive economic zones belong to the Philippines, but that hasn't deterred China from deploying more vessels in the area, and it still continues to do so. And not just in terms of vessel deployment, you also see the Chinese jets flying over these territories that are claimed by the Philippines and are important exclusive economic zones to Philippines, partly because it is an oil-rich atoll, and when that comes into contest, you'd see the Chinese would of course now see them making islands in that region, which is the process that has now begun. Even the Philippines officially has stated the fact that the Chinese have started dumping the coral remains in the Sabina Shoal to claim as its own, simply because it's oil rich and also an important maritime route both for the Philippines and the rest of the world. So if China does indeed control Sabina Shoal at this point, it is a point of concern, not just for the players involved in the dispute in South China Sea, but also for the region, for the greater region.
All right. Jessica, the latest flashpoint was one of the 4 confrontations between the 2 countries' vessels in 2 weeks. Take us through the details of what's happening there.
That's correct. It was one of the 4 incidents that we saw. Now the flashpoint, as I pointed out, was Sabina Shoal. And currently what we know is the fact that the US's Indo-Pacific commander has also made recent comments about if China continues to threaten the sovereignty of other countries, it might lead to a problem mechanism which of course needs resolving. And as you recall, both the Chinese side and the American side, especially their armies, have not been engaging, very limited interaction. The only one I can possibly remember was at the Shangri-La dialogue in Singapore, and that seemed to have given some room to rest those speculations about a possible America-China dispute in that particular region. But when it comes to this, of course, the involvement of the Chinese vessels, in fact, in the recent incident, you'd recall the vessel that was going for a resupply mission towards the Sabina Shoal, the Philippines vessels that were going for resupply missions, were deterred by China, were halted by China, so much so that in one collision, one of the Philippines vessel, in fact, was inflicted with a 3-foot deep hole. And that caused significant damages. Apart from that as well, in the recent past, Chinese have used Axis, and they've resorted to all kinds of grey zone warfare when it comes to deterring anyone's presence in the area that they claim as their own. Now remember, Sabina Shoal is just about 86 miles from Manila, the island of Palawan, as I was pointing out. And from the Chinese side, it's approximately 600 miles away. And according to the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, any exclusive economic zone within 200 miles radius belongs to that particular country. But that hasn't been the case, and China doesn't abide by that decision. So problems still remain, and the Chinese activity and the threat, of course, continues to be in the South China Sea. It will be important to monitor as to how this recent, as some may say, de-escalation follows. But from the Chinese side, it would want to claim the entire region as its own, especially after it's known that they've started constructing an island there, and that is how it's supposed to proceed from the Chinese side, at least.
All right, thank you so much, Jessica, for your analysis. And let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. Well, several climate activists has been arrested in the Netherlands. The protesters were blocking a major highway in demonstration against government subsidies on fossil fuels. The climate protest group has vowed to continue protesting until subsidies on fossil fuels will be removed. Air Canada had reached a last-minute tentative pact with pilots' union with a new 4-year collective agreement. This tentative agreement will avert a near-term pilot strike. For the past 15 months, the two sides have been negotiating for a new contract in which the pilot union was demanding high wage rates for them. To celebrate the upcoming Mid-Autumn Festival, Chimlong Safari Park in Guangzhou, city of South China, introduced visitors to a 87-days-old baby panda, Mei Zhu. The baby panda is the daughter of Meng Meng, which is the oldest sister of the world's only surviving panda triplets. A 2-month-old female hippopotamus named Mu Deng has become an online sensation after videos of her interactions with her keeper went viral. The baby hippo is drawing large crowds to the Khao Kheo Open Zoo in Thailand. And time for some weather-related updates. Chinese authorities prepared for heavy rain on Sunday as a strong typhoon approached the country's heavily populated eastern seaboard. Typhoon Bebinka was expected to make landfall along a swath of coastlines, including the mega city of Shanghai, sometime between Sunday night and Monday morning. According to Beijing's Emergency Management Ministry, the storm would cause heavy to torrential downpours with local heavy or extremely heavy rainstorms between Sunday and Tuesday. The Water Resources Ministry launched a Level 4 emergency response, the lowest in a tiered system for flooding in Shanghai and the provinces of Jiangsu, Zhejiang and Anhui. Death toll from Myanmar's devastating floods rose to 74 as of Friday evening after heavy rains triggered widespread floods across the country. Search and rescue operations are underway with at least 89 people missing as of Friday evening, the report said. Adverse weather brought on by Typhoon Yagi, the strongest storm to hit Asia this year, has killed many in Vietnam and Thailand, and flood waters from swollen rivers have inundated cities in both countries. The aftermath of flooding in Nigeria's northeast is raising alarming humanitarian concerns as thousands face displacement, and a sharp triple-digit increase in prices threatens the food security of already vulnerable populations. Flood that swept through Nigeria's northeastern Borno state have affected up to 1 million people. Authorities scrambled to rescue residents and put them in temporary shelters. Heavy rains have caused severe flooding across the northern Czech Republic on Sunday. Rivers overflowed, with some areas facing the worst flooding in decades. The fire service reported evacuating 1,900 people by Sunday morning, with many roads impassable. 250,000 homes were without power due to high winds and rain. Authorities are on high alert as more rain is expected. In Jesnik, residents were seen filling sandbags from playground sand pits and placing them along flooded roads. Meanwhile, more rainfall is forecast in the coming days in the Czech Republic, Poland, Slovakia, Hungary, southern Germany and parts of Austria. Storm Boris with torrential rains and flooding have killed at least 4 people in Romania, whereas hundreds have been evacuated. Over 5,000 homes are damaged and 15,000 are still left without power due to flood waters. Romania is the hardest hit country due to Storm Boris. In Romania, Prime Minister visited hard-hit Galati County. Authorities there had set up temporary relief camps with accommodation for displaced people. In Poland, 1 person drowned and 1,600 people were evacuated in Kłodzko County as local rivers broke record high levels, causing flooding in several municipalities after days of heavy rainfall. Prime Minister Donald Tusk on Sunday held a meeting with the crisis management team in that town. Some 17,000 households in the county were left without power and mobile connections were not available in some areas. More rain is forecast for Monday, aggravating the situation. Munich River is experiencing dangerously high levels and strong currents due to persistent rains in southern Germany. Surging river levels has put the authorities on alert to limit the damage caused from the expected flooding. Officials said that widespread rains could cause sporadic flooding in certain buildings or basements very soon. Operating in the beginning from the premises of the then All India Radio, Doordarshan, India's national public service broadcaster, has come a long way in connecting with the masses. Established on 15th of September in 1959, it completes 65 years of its glorious existence today. DD India's Tanvi Taneja reports.
Doordarshan means the glimpse of all afar in Hindi. It started as a modest telecast experiment on 15th of September in 1959. A leading European company exhibited its closed-circuit TV equipment at an international exposition in India in 1959. At the end of the expo, the equipment was gifted to the people of India. In the beginning, television transmission was limited to half an hour, twice a week, with the program content reflecting the developmental priorities of the nation. The viewership was confined to members of 20 tele-clubs started by the government in Delhi. Bulky and expensive television sets were provided for community viewing. Subsequently, 250 schools in Delhi joined the viewers and programming focused on educational content. This was the genesis of Krishi Darshan, a program dedicated to the farmers. Almost unnoticed at first, news in Hindi made a humble beginning in 1965 with the transmission limited to a very short range in the vicinity of the national capital. By 1972, Doordarshan services were extended to Mumbai and Amritsar and then on to 7 other cities by 1975. Doordarshan and All India Radio were bifurcated on April 1st, 1976. Subsequently, a signature tune was composed by Pandit Ravi Shankar. This ushered in an era of self-confident assertion. The years that followed saw Doordarshan News breaking many barriers. Reporters were sent out to cover national and international events. The coverage of the Asian Games in 1982 was a major turning point, with New Delhi playing the host. Colored TV was introduced on the eve of the Asian Games. The country even saw the Indian victory of the Cricket World Cup in 1983 on Doordarshan. Indians were spellbound as Doordarshan telecast the first Indian cosmonaut, Rakesh Sharma, orbiting in space. Doordarshan was coming of age. This was the time when some of the programs of Doordarshan became blockbusters. Programs like Hum Log, Bunyad were powerfully evoking a magical spell over audiences. We've all heard from our elders as to how the streets of India used to be deserted when the mythological series Ramayana was telecast in the late 1980s. Many other long-running series were setting the standards of TV broadcasting. Mahabharat, Bharati Khoj, Malgudi Days, Ghalib, Circus were all real blockbusters of the time. Cut to the 21st century. In an age of the breaking news, Doordarshan continues to maintain its tradition of providing accurate and up-to-date content to its viewers. Its own English international channel, DD India, caters to not only domestic but international audiences. It proudly collaborates with other public broadcasters like that of Germany's DW and many other independent news agencies.
UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak.
Over the years, Doordarshan has carried the aspirations of a billion-plus population and remained conscious of its responsibilities of a public service broadcaster. On 15th September today, we from the entire Doordarshan family invite you to be a part of our celebration. Tanvi Taneja for DD India.
One of the most vibrant and cherished festivals of India, Onam, is being celebrated with great enthusiasm across Kerala and by Malayali communities around the world. This harvest festival, which honors the legendary King Mahabali. Let's take a closer look at the festivities.
The spirit of Onam is alive in Kerala as people come together to celebrate this ancient harvest festival. The 10-day long festival, marked by grand feast, traditional dances and vibrant cultural performances, is a celebration of the return of the mythical King Mahabali, who is believed to visit his subjects once a year.
For us, Onam is our national festival, a culture, a part of our lives. Malayalis, irrespective of the background they come from, celebrate all festivals. Onam, Christmas, Eid, we celebrate it together. Onam is a feeling of togetherness. It's actually an emotion. It's actually family get-together time when cousins all come to our family.
Onam holds a tradition of making special decorations in temples and home courtyards with intricate pukkalams, beautiful floral arrangements that symbolize prosperity and welcome. The festival is also known for the grand traditional feast or Onam Sadhya, which is served on banana leaves and includes an array of delicious vegetarian dishes. Onam is more than just a festival. It is a reflection of Kerala's rich cultural heritage and the timeless values of unity and prosperity. Whether through its elaborate sadhya, beautiful pukkalams or exciting boat races, Onam brings people together in celebrations of life's simple joys. Kriti Vadhera's report for DD India.
In Sri Lanka, Indian diaspora were celebrating Onam Festival on Sunday. Onam is harvest festival of Kerala, which symbolizes prosperity, secularism and harmony. The festival marks the homecoming of the legendary ruler King Mahabali and showcases the unique customs, traditions and cuisine of the state. Early Sunday morning, SpaceX's Polaris Dawn mission has ended with a pre-dawn splashdown near dry Tortugas of coast of Florida. The mission, which was led by billionaire Jared Isaacman, concluded after a 5-day journey. The journey marked several significant milestones in private space exploration. In addition to the spacewalk, the crew conducted almost 40 scientific experiments. While you're watching DD India News Hour, time now for sport. Lionel Messi finally returned to action on Sunday and made an instant impact as Inter Miami sealed a 3-1 win against Philadelphia Union. Mikhail opened the scoring for Philadelphia in the second minute, but Miami made comeback with Messi getting a brace, and in the 26th minute, Suarez sent a shot pass to Messi, who went past the defender and entered the box, shooting it inside the left post to make it 1-1. 4 minutes later, Messi got a cross inside the box and scored past the goalkeeper with a shot to make it 2-1. Messi sustained an ankle injury during Argentina's victory in Copa America final on July 14. And that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those who are on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. You can scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.